How could you let this happen? This changes everything since 1995.
It had to be done. You don't understand.
What have you done?
The cursor hovered over the join button like a heartbeat paused on the edge of revelation. Alex Thompson's finger trembled. The sterile glow of his laptop screen cutting through the dimness of his Chicago apartment, where rain lashed against the windows like forgotten regrets. One click, and the grid of faces materialized, colleagues in muted squares, nodding hellos, but then, in the bottom right, a pair of hazel eyes locked onto his, pulling him under like the summer current from 30 years ago. It was Jamie. Not a ghost, not a trick of the light, but Jamie Hargrove, alive and achingly real, his face framed by the soft blur of a San Francisco skyline behind him. Alex's breath caught, a sharp inhale that echoed the thunder outside, as memories flooded in unbidden, stolen kisses under willow trees, whispered promises in the back seat of a rusted Chevy, the raw terror of loving in a world that demanded silence. How could this be? The man who'd vanished without a trace in 1995, leaving Alex's 17-year-old heart in shards, now stared back from a corporate video call, as if the universe had conspired to rewrite their ending. Alex forced a smile, his voice cracking on the mundane opener about quarterly projections, but his mind raced like a freight train off the rails. The meeting droned on, spreadsheets shared, agendas ticked, but every glance at Jamie's tile sent jolts through him, electric and unforgiving. Those eyes, still crinkling at the corners with that boyish mischief, now etched with lines of a life fully lived. What had become of him? The questions clawed at Alex's throat, but he swallowed them, professional armor snapping back into place. By the time the host declared adjournment, Alex's palms were slick, his tie a noose. He lingered in the empty call, the grid shrinking to just the two of them, an accidental orbit neither dared break. Alex, Jamie's voice spilled through the speakers, warm and tentative, laced with the same Midwestern lilt that had once murmured sonnets in the dark. Is that really you? The dam broke then, words tumbling out in a rush, 30 years compressed into frantic breaths. Jamie. God, Jamie. I thought. After that summer, you just disappeared. Alex's voice wavered. The vulnerability he'd buried under layers of boardroom bravado surfacing like a tide. Jamie's face softened, a shadow crossing his features, the kind that spoke of burdens carried alone. I had to go, Jamie said softly, his fingers tracing the edge of his screen as if he could reach through. My dad got that job in California, overnight. No warning. I wrote you letters. Alex. Dozens. But they came back unopened. Your family. They moved too, didn't they? Alex nodded, throat tight. His own exodus had been swift, a family's unspoken shame after his coming out. The whispers in their small Ohio town, too loud to ignore. Yeah. We fled to the city lights, chasing normalcy that never came. The rain pounded harder, mirroring the storm in his chest. This wasn't just a reunion, it was resurrection. The boy he'd loved and lost, staring back as a man, flawed and familiar. They talked for hours, the call stretching into the velvet night. Time zones be damned. Jamie was a graphic designer now, freelancing for tech startups in the Bay Area. His life a mosaic of vibrant chaos, a cozy Victorian flat overlooking the bay, a rescue dog named Scout who snored through video calls, and a string of relationships that had taught him love's sharp edges, but never its depth. Alex shared his own tapestry, senior project manager at a logistics firm. The high-rise condo with views of Lake Michigan that felt more like a cage than a castle. The parade of dates that fizzled under the weight of his guarded heart. But beneath the laughter and the easy catch-up lurked the undercurrent of what-ifs. The ghosts of 1995 refusing to stay buried. "Remember the fairgrounds?" Jamie asked, his voice dropping to a whisper, eyes distant. "That Ferris wheel, the way the world blurred below us. And for once, it felt like we could outrun everything." Alex's chest ached with the memory, the sticky cotton candy on their fingers. The thrill of ascent. Jamie's hand slipping into his as the lights twinkled like fallen stars. "How could I forget? It was the night you said we'd build a life together. Away from all the hate." The words hung heavy, laced with the bitterness of broken vows. That summer had been their rebellion, two boys from conservative families, stealing moments in haylofts and moonlit fields, dreaming of cities where love didn't hide in shadows. But dawn had come too soon, ripping them apart. As the clock ticked past midnight, Jamie leaned closer to his camera, his expression raw. "Alex, I never stop thinking about you. Every sketch I draw, every design, it's got a piece of that boy from Ohio in it. What if we tried? Now." The invitation landed like a spark on dry tinder. Alex's pulse thundered, fear and fire warring within. At 45, he'd built walls higher than the Willis Tower, convinced that love was a luxury for the young and unbroken. Yet here was Jamie, offering a bridge across the chasm. "I want to," Alex admitted, voice barely above a breath. "But it's been so long. What if we're not the same?" Jamie's smile was a lifeline, crooked and true. "We're not. But maybe that's the beauty. Meet me halfway." They ended the call with promises, texts exchanged, flights booked in hushed excitement. Alex collapsed onto his couch. The rain a lullaby now, carrying him into dreams where willow branches wove them together again. For the first time in decades, sleep came not as escape, but as anticipation. The weeks blurred into a fever of preparation, each ping of Jamie's messages a jolt of adrenaline. Alex pored over old photos and shoeboxes pulled from attic dust. The sepia tones of their youth, a portal to innocence lost. He remembered the texture of Jamie's flannel shirt under his palms, the salt of his skin after a swim in the quarry, the fierce way he declared, "You're my forever, Alex." No matter what they say, but they had one back then, preachers thundering from pulpits, fathers with iron fists and ironclad expectations. Alex's own dad had found the letters, the fallout a hurricane of disownment and despair. Now, in the sterile efficiency of O'Hare, Alex gripped his boarding pass like a talisman, heart hammering as the plane lifted toward the west coast. The flight was a gauntlet of what-ifs. What if Jamie's life was too full for this ghost from the past? What if the spark had dulled to embers? Turbulence rattled the cabin, mirroring the chaos within. But Alex closed his eyes and breathed, anchoring to the memory of those hazel eyes on the screen. San Francisco greeted him with fog-kissed hills and the briny kiss of the Pacific, a far cry from Ohio's flat farmlands. Jamie waited at arrivals, leaner than the video feed suggested, his navy blazer slung over one shoulder, a bouquet of wild sunflowers clutched awkwardly in his fist, echoes of the fields they'd raced through as kids. When their eyes met, The airport faded. The bustle a distant hum. Jamie's grin split wide, boyish and bold. You came. Alex crossed the divide in 3 strides, pulling him into an embrace that crushed the flowers between them, petals scattering like confetti. I had to, he murmured into Jamie's neck, inhaling the scent of sandalwood and sea air. It was home, after all these years. They drove in Jamie's battered Jeep, top down despite the chill. The Golden Gate, a rust-red sentinel in the distance. Conversation flowed like wine, work gripes, favorite dive bars, the absurdity of adulting. But as they wound through Lombard Street's serpentine curves, the silences grew pregnant, heavy with unspoken histories. Tell me about the letters. Alex finally ventured, wind whipping his words. Jamie's knuckles whitened on the wheel. I poured my soul into them. How much I missed you. How I'd save every penny for a bus ticket east. But when they bounced back, it gutted me. I thought you moved on. Forgotten. His voice cracked. Vulnerability bared. I dated women first, to please my folks. Then men, in secret. Lost a job over it once, in the early aughts. But you were the one that got away. The blueprint for every what if. Alex reached over, lacing their fingers. The simple touch is sacrament. I searched for you online 1,000 times. Hargrove in California turned up lawyers and plumbers, but never my artist. And me. I climbed the ladder, dated safe, stayed in the closet at work until pride flags flew corporate. But no one ever lit that fire again. They arrived at Jamie's flat as dusk painted the bay in bruised purples. Scout the golden retriever bounding out with joyous barks. The space was a revelation, walls splashed with murals of swirling colors, canvases leaning like sentinels, bookshelves groaning under tomes on design and queer history. Over takeout Thai and a bottle of Cabernet, they delved deeper, peeling back scars like old wallpaper. Jamie confessed the AIDS crisis's shadow in his youth. Friends lost to stigma and silence. How it fueled his art as both rage and requiem. Alex shared his therapy marathons. The hollow ache of family estrangement, his mother's tentative emails the only thread left. Night deepened, the wine loosening tongues and limbs. On Jamie's worn leather couch, with scouts snoring at their feet, their first kiss since 1995 ignited slow, then fierce, a reclaiming of stolen time. Lips met with the hunger of survivors. Hands mapping familiar territories grown stranger with age. I love you, Jamie breathed against Alex's skin. The words a vow renewed. Always have, but dawn brought the first fracture. Alex's phone buzzed with an urgent email from the office, a major client crisis, demanding his return. I can't just vanish, he protested as Jamie brewed coffee. The domesticity a cruel tease. This merger's my lifeline. Jamie's eyes darkened, old fears resurfacing. And what about us? Is this just a weekend fling? A nostalgia trip? The accusation stung, echoing the abrupt severance of their youth. It's more, Alex insisted, pulling him close. But life isn't a fairy tale. We build this slow, real. They compromised on video dates, weekend shuttles, a fragile scaffold across states. Yet, as Alex boarded his flight home, the city's sparkle felt dimmer, the promise laced with peril. Back in Chicago, the grind resumed, endless meetings, spreadsheets bleeding red, but now infused with stolen moments. Jamie's sketches arriving via text. Quickies on FaceTime that left Alex breathless and bereft. Their bond deepened through shared vulnerabilities. Jamie's battle with creative burnout. Alex's creeping anxiety over turning 50 alone. Letters flowed again. Handwritten this time. Mailed like artifacts. Pages scented with Jamie's cologne. Inked with dreams of shared future. Then came the storm. 3 months in, Jamie called late one night. Voice shattered. My sister's sick. Cancer. Stage 4. She's asking for me. But Dad, he's still the same Bible-thumping bastard who shipped me off. Says I'm not welcome unless I repent. The words clawed at Alex's heart, dredging his own paternal ghosts. Fly out, Alex urged, booking tickets on impulse. We'll face it together, but en route. Doubt not. Was he ready for this? The family wars of 1995 replayed in his mind. The slurs, the shunning. Landing in Sacramento, the heat wave pressed like judgment. The Hargrove family home, a squat rancher baking under relentless sun. Jamie's father answered the door, face carved from granite, eyes narrowing at the two men hand in hand. Heard you were coming, he grunted, stepping aside with grudging civility. Inside, the air thickened with hospital jello and unspoken sins. Jamie's sister, Lena, lay frail in the guest room, her smile a beacon amid the pallor. Jamie, she whispered, gripping his hand. You brought him. The one from the stories. Tears welled as Jamie introduced Alex. The moment a quiet triumph. Over bedside vigils, they wove into the family's frayed fabric, Lena's wry humor a bridge, her pleas for reconciliation chipping at Mr. Hargrove's armor. Nights in a motel nearby, Alex held Jamie through sobs, their love a bulwark against grief's tide. You're my anchor, Jamie murmured, tracing Alex's jaw. In all the chaos, you make sense. The vigil stretched weeks. Lena's decline a thief in slow motion. In stolen hours, Alex and Jamie wandered almond orchards, dust-caked sneakers crunching underfoot, reclaiming fragments of youth amid the blossoms. Remember our orchard promises? Alex teased, nuzzling Jamie's temple. Apples for eternity, Jamie laughed. Bittersweet. Ours now, riper, but tension simmered. Mr. Hargrove's barbs landed like shrapnel, fancy city ways, choices that broke this family. One evening, it erupted over dinner. A hurled accusation about that lifestyle killing Lena's spirit. Jamie rose, voice steel. Dad, it's not the love that kills, it's the hate you peddle. Alex saved me once. Saves me still. The room froze. Alex's hand finding Jamie's under the table. A silent oath. Mr. Hargrove's face crumpled. Not in rage, but defeat, the dam of denial cracking. I lost you both, he admitted hoarsely. Feared the world more than my boy. In the hush that followed, a truce formed, fragile as spun glass. Lena passed at dawn, her hand in Jamie's. Alex's presence a quiet permission. The funeral was a tapestry of mourners, old friends. Queer allies Jamie had quietly nurtured, reminding them love's reach. As ashes scattered over the Sacramento River, Jamie turned to Alex, eyes fierce. Marry me. Not tomorrow, but soon. Let's make the forever we promised. Alex's yes was a whisper on the wind. sealed with a kiss that tasted of salt and absolution. Back in their respective cities, plans coalesced, Alex pitching remote work, Jamie eyeing Chicago studios. Hurdles loomed, visas for dreams. Finances frayed, but they tackled them entwined. Therapy sessions via Zoom now laced with laughter. 6 months later, under a canopy of autumn leaves in Grant Park, they exchanged vows, simple bands glinting like Ferris wheel lights. Family trickled in, Alex's mother, tearful and tentative, Mr. Hargrove, gruff but present, toasting with a nod. To second chances, he rumbled, and the crowd echoed, a chorus of redemption. As dusk fell, Jamie pulled Alex close, their dance a slow sway to an invisible band. From 1995 to forever, he breathed. Alex smiled, heart full. And every glitchy call in between, in the quiet after, as stars pricked the velvet sky, Alex realized the truth. Love wasn't a straight line, but a mosaic of breaks and bridges, each chart a story of survival.
Look at the
They
date on this
lost
photograph,
30 years to fear,
1995.
It's
but
impossible.
gained a
I don't
lifetime
understand
in
how.
courage, the
It's
ultimate
happening
rebellion,
30 years later.
tender and true.